a circle of vision and reflection, a forum for deciding and empowering. Here we are at the base of another bridge, another space spanning the shores of today and tomorrow, beckoning us to cross the chasm one day at a time. Here we are, gathered again at the cusp of the future, at the boundary that holds community together. We are here in a circle of love and trust, brought to this moment by a series of choices and promises, by hope and gratitude, by our own shadows faced and befriended. With a servant's heart, with a leader's listening, with a parent's love, truer than all our inner trembling, let us model the health we seek for all and lean into community. Somewhere out there, all we dream is possible. Somewhere in here, we are sowing the seeds.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to First Parish in Hingham, also known as Old Ship Church. Everyone is welcome here. My name is Karen Churchill. My pronouns are she, her. And as always, we'd like to remind us that we are on the land of the Massachusetts people, and as such, this land is sacred to them. Is there anybody new or anybody who would like to stand to just state their name so we can offer you a warmer welcome? Just the old folks here today. Thank you, Jack. Thank you very much. And it's been great seeing you every week. Yes, musicians are included. Thank you. So everyone here at Old Ship is welcome. And during summer services, we have a little bit more of an informal service. Services are run by lay people or congregants. So we get to see a little bit more of our community, a little deeper look at some of the people that we see every Sunday. And summer services are really, it's really nice. It's a nice bonding kind of service. So what you'll see during the year is just a little bit different. Today we have Elizabeth Torrey, who is part of our community, and she is doing a poetry service. Elizabeth lives, loves, and is poetry. So I hope you enjoy the pieces she's chosen for you today. After service, we have a social hour or hour and a half, however long it goes on. And it's going to be right outside the meeting house today, unless it's pouring. Then we'll go down to 14 Main, but I think we're going to be fine. So please join us for that afterwards for a little bit of chit chat. Also to ask Elizabeth questions and to read some of her poetry. Thank you very much today, and our service will now begin.
Please join in singing hymn number 123 in your hymnal, Spirit of Life. And Steve Waynan will give us some instructions. Since it's only one verse, and many people wish we could sing it again, we're going to sing it together the first time. Steve will sing the second verse in his wonderful voice, and then we'll sing it again for the third verse.
They say. I don't think it's quite this waltz time. It's in 2/2. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart on the stirring of the passion. Blowing in the wind, rising in the sea. Moving in my hand, giving life the shape of justice. For me loves, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. All right, with gusto, here we go. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart, on the stirrings of passion. Blowing in the wind, rising in the sea. Moving my hand, giving life, shape of justice. Loose for me lost, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
And I'd like to invite Reverend Carey up to light the chalice.
Good morning. It is good to be here. It is good to be here with all of you this morning. I have been anticipating what it's going to be like to sit in your space and be with all of you. And it is a beautiful space filled with spirit, as you said. And I am glad to finally be here. So this morning's chalice lighting words. It is a blessing. It is a blessing to be here. It is a blessing to be here with you. Emboldened by the values of Unitarian Universalism and the principles and promises of this faith movement, we gather. May the power of life and love, truth and justice grace our relationships with connection, meaning, and purpose. May the bounties of this shared ministry be the foundation on which we learn to be present to life's great joy with celebration and praise. The foundation on which we cultivate compassion, that we may stay present to suffering, nurture resilience, and cultivate wholeness. The foundation on which we shine a light of injustice and spark a call to resistance, solidarity, and action. May we be the accomplices they are looking for. It is a blessing. It is a blessing to be here. It is a blessing to be here with all of you.
And now it's time for joys and concerns. We will have a microphone and pass it around, and if you could speak your name and your joy or concern, we will light a candle for you. I need a microphone person, first of all. Awesome. Okay, part one. And if you could just raise your hand if you'd like to speak a joy or concern.
Hi, a candle, Kate Philbin, a candle of concern that everything will go peacefully at the Democratic Convention this Thursday night, unlike in Chicago in 1968 when there were the riots. There's been a lot of mention of that on television, comparing, what's going to happen this year to then. So hopefully everything will go peacefully.
Patty Smith, a candle of concern for my cousin who has widespread cancer throughout her body and she's undergoing experimental treatments. Cindy, her name is.
I guess this is Candle of Joy. I went to a talk at the Hull Life Saving Museum a couple of days ago, and they were talking about marine salvage. And I was thinking, should I go? Should I not go? It was amazing. It was an amazing presentation about all of the salvaging they're doing. It's a woman from P-Town who has over 500 volunteers down there. Anyway, they're going to come out and they're going to do salvage on the 5 outer islands. And they're looking for people to volunteer, and the people who go, and I can't go, I'm too old and decrepit. But I was thinking, some of you might know somebody who would love to do it. You're going to stay in the yurts on Paddocks Island. They're going to make a dinner for you. The boats are going to be helping haul stuff out. It's just like, oh my gosh, what an adventure. So just thought I'd share it.
Hi, I'm Craig Lincoln, and I'm here with my wife, Kelly. We are from Michigan, and the reason we're here is because of my last name. Um, I am related to the president, and I've a genealogy nut, and so I've come here to learn all about all the Lincoln things that are here in Hingham. And I reached out to the church ahead of time, and they were so gracious to offer us a tour after the service. So we're very appreciative of that. And we are having a wonderful time camping as we come across the country. We just left a meeting with our family in Letchworth State Park in New York. Just what a gorgeous place with that canyon there and everything. It just there are so many places in our country where you say, "Thank you, Lord, for everything that you've provided us." We are so fortunate to be living in this on this earth. And anyway, I'm just very joyful. And when you gave me an opportunity to speak, I couldn't resist. So thank you very much for all your hospitality. Really appreciate it.
Nina Welford. I'm just back from the second of my grandchild tours, and I got to go to Peru this time because my other curious grandson chose it, and it was amazing. Just 2 weeks of learning about mostly pre-colonial culture in Peru, and up in from in Lima to Cusco to Sacred Valley and Machu Picchu, and then the Amazon. It was beyond. I feel like my eyes have been opened to a completely different part of our world that is just well worth exploring. So can't say enough about it. Glad we got back alive.
Janice McPhillips, it's a candle of joy and concern. We're back from our sailing adventure, safe and sound, sailed all the way to Canada. But mostly I want to light a candle of concern. I don't know if anyone has lit a candle for Chris Wolf, who is a member. She and her husband Rick are going through a very tough time right now, and she is home after several weeks in the hospital at McLean. And keep her in your hearts. She needs a lot of prayers.
I just wanted to light 2 candles of gratitude. One is for these wonderful lay-led services that have been organized this summer by Karen Churchill. Thank you so much, Karen. And also an extra big welcome to actually have our wonderful new minister, Reverend Carrie, here today amongst us.
These candles also burn for any joys or concerns that go unspoken today, but lay heavy in our hearts.
I invite us now for a few minutes of quiet meditation and silence with the words of Mary Oliver. Right now, I'm flying low. I'm not saying a word. I'm letting all the voodoos of ambition sleep. The world goes on as it must. The bees in the garden, rumbling a little, the fish leaping, the gnats getting eaten, and so forth. But I'm taking this time out, quiet as a feather, stillness, one of the doors into the temple. Please join in singing hymn number 1064 in your turquoise hymnal, Blue Boat Home, with Steve's accompaniment.
You all remember Robbie Ward. I sat up there during his service, and they sang Blue Boat Home. I'd never heard it before, and fell immediately in love with its tune, but mostly its beautiful imagery of our planet floating through space and time.
Well, I learned a new word this month in my Harvard Women's Health Watch newsletter. It's called doom scrolling, meaning constantly consuming distressing news, scanning headline after headline, blaring bad news, glad tidings. The word came into prominence, of course, during the COVID epidemic. Experts say that continued doom scrolling is an insidious threat to mind and body. How to cut back? Well, they give several ideas. Put distance between you and your phone. No phones at mealtime. Get involved in volunteering. Deepen friendship. Spend more time in the natural world. I might add, go find one of many excellent poetry anthologies available. Slow down and sit with poems. Read ones that speak to you. Read those out loud. Give the words life. This can be a medicine we sorely need. I read a poem every morning as a spiritual vitamin, along with my one-a-day meds. It's a spiritual practice as well. Remember Franciscan priest Father Richard Rohr's words describing the 3 stages of a civilization? Order, disorder, and reorder. We are clearly living with many dislocations, unravelings in this swiftly changing world of ours. Poetry can not only help us grow a soul, one of Old Ship's purposes, that's right on my refrigerator too, it can help awaken a soul, can be a call to action and lift the spirit. A good poem, as American poet Gwendolyn Brooks said, can open a window. A good poem can sometimes push back the cataracts of outdated beliefs. Poems can help us feel the sacred ground of our feelings. Deepen our understanding that we are not alone. Give us courage, inspiration, heart speaking to heart. I have found the above to be true. And so I have a spiritual companionship along my life's journey. And I'm so grateful for that. Now it's time to receive our offering. And Steve will be playing. His first music for coming in was Ruth's song, Ruth being his mother, which was so beautiful. Thank you. And this one is Lynn's song for his wife, who's with us today. Our offering will now be given and received. beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Steve. So let's enter the river of words and travel by poem for a few minutes. Now that you're slowed down a bit. The poems I was looking for this week particularly were poems about hope, um, remembrance, and gratitude. But if I were to bring all the poems I looked at, we'd be here for a week. It was very hard to pare this down. So you're just going to get a smattering this morning, but I hope a sustaining smattering. The first poem I found is called A Simple Hope by Teresa Soto. Last year, the It toy was some kind of beeping computerized egg. The frenzy and desperation reaching for the perfect gift. Sold out everywhere, this egg. Hope can be kind of like that. People strain and struggle for the perfect definition. Is it now? Or future perfect, as in, we will survive. They argue over whether we even need a hope more present than a maybe, even when you don't feel it. A healthy hope is power. And beyond that, the choosing to stay with the doubt and stay with the fear, stay with the work that it takes to resist. Leave giving up for another day. You could wrestle the words or sensation of hope to the mat, or you could let this moment be enough. Belonging here together, being sufficient, and feast on our irrepressible power to stay. Eric Fromm observed, to hope means to be ready at every moment for that which is not yet born, and not yet become desperate if there is no birth in our lifetime. I think I misspoke here. Eric Fromm observed, to hope means to be ready at every moment for that which is not yet born, and yet not become desperate if there is no birth in our lifetime. And Krista Tippett said, hope is a muscle that we must use it or lose it, as they say. It means persistence and determination that things can get better. Hope is a muscle, a practice, a choice that actually propels new realities into being. And the next poem is a favorite of mine by Jane Hirschfield, a Buddhist poet. Her poem is called Hope and Love. All winter the blue heron slept among the horses. I do not know the custom of herons, do not know if the solitary habit is their way, or if he listened for some missing one, not knowing even that was what he did in the blowing sounds in the dark. I know that hope is the hardest love we carry. He slept with his long neck folded like a letter put away. You see, a poem can say essentially very, very deeply essential things, but economically. You think of a bullion cube. I know that hope is the hardest love we carry. Wisdom line, 5 stars. And here's another sort of brief poem she wrote called Hope, an Assay. An assay is an examination, a determination of the value of something. Hope, an essay. Again, Jane Hirschfield. At 79, my friend says, I feel differently now. I thought we could change. Now I'm not so sure. We are chimpanzees. Chimpanzees fighting. I begin to lose my old hope. How hard he still fights, I think, at 79. Still struggling with the nature of human nature, his own and others, our humanity and our inhumanity. And I, who have always despaired of change, see him change, and I grow hopeful. A poem to help us not lose heart, perhaps. An old favorite. The late poet Robinson Jeffers wrote, pained thoughts have found the honey of peace in old poems. So I found an old poem by an elder, Wendell Berry, who was 90, farmer, poet, novelist, and visionary, who is still doing all of the above in Kentucky on his farm, who wrote The Peace of Wild Things. It's also on my refrigerator as a hedge against despair. The Peace of Wild Things. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water. And I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the world and am free. Barry's poem is an example of what the late Unitarian Universalist minister Harry Schofield calls his wallet theology, his singing river, poems he carries in his heart. This is one I carry in mine. Poem of gratitude by the late poet Mark Strand. This one was easy to include today. Thank you, faithful things. Thank you, world. To know that the city is still there, that the woods are still there, and the houses and the hum of traffic and the slow cows grazing in the field, that the earth continues to turn and time hasn't stopped, and that we come back to suck the sweet marrow of another day. Thank you, bright morning. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The poet's first duty is to attend, to pay attention to the little things. Contemporary African American poet Clint Smith reminds us, quote, there's so much of the world to love despite fears and catastrophes. It's just good to remember that. It's so good to remember that. And also our Mary Oliver, so many wisdom lines in her poems, which are so much prayers actually. And this one is a special favorite. When I am among the trees. When I am among the trees, especially the willows and the honey locust, equally the beech, the oaks and the pines, they give off such hints of gladness. I would almost say they save me, and daily. I am so distant from the hope of myself in which I have goodness and discernment, and never hurry through the world, but rather walk slowly, and bow often. Around me, the trees stir in their leaves and they call out, "Stay a while." The light flows from their branches and they call again, "It's simple," they say. And you too can come into the world to do this. You too have come into the world to do this. Go easy. Be filled with light and shine. You see what a way shower she is. Calling out the true gleam of the wisdom of trees. The true gleam of the wisdom of trees. Slow down, bow often, and shine. Another one that was easy to bring. Meadowlark Mending Song. What hurt you today was taken out of your heart by the meadowlark, who slipped the silver needle of her song in and out of the gray day and mended what was torn. What hurt you today was taken out of your heart by the meadowlark, who slipped the silver needle of her song in and out of the gray day and mended what was torn. How nature can be so healing. Another poem of gratitude from Jane Kenyon, who was the wife of the very prolific poet and novelist and journalist Donald Hall, for a short time, because by the time they married, she did not have long to live. She had leukemia and died at 47, and he lived to be a gusty, lusty 90-something or other after her death. But anyway, she wrote many beautiful poems, and this is one of them of their time together, the short time that they had together. Coming home at twilight in late summer. We turned into the drive, and gravel flew up from the trees like sparks from a fire. So much to be done. The unpacking, the mail, the papers, the grass needed mowing. We climbed stiffly out of the car. The shut-off engine ticked as it cooled. And then we noticed the pear tree, the limbs so heavy with fruit they nearly touched the ground. We went out to the meadow. Our steps made black holes in the grass, and we each took a pear and ate and were grateful. Poems can say profound things very simply, can't they? Right? Poems can ensoul experiences, lift them up tenderly against the undertow of forgetting. You know, we move in such a fast forward world. I go to poetry to be slow down, inner forwarded maybe, and leave the fast forward for another day. And then another very short summer poem called Hummingbirds by Ray Carver, who was considered America's Chekhov, short story writer. Amazing love story, his and Tess Gallagher, his wife, in Port Angeles, Washington. They two had a short life together, but it's very complex and wonderful to read about both of them. He wrote this summer poem called Hummingbird for Tess. Suppose I say summer and write the word hummingbird, put it in an envelope, take it down the hill to the box. When you open my letter, you will recall those days and how much, just how much, I love you. And Tess, writing back, wrote, "We survive on ritual, sweet peas in August, letting the scent carry us so that at last the door swings open and we're both on the same side of it for a while." And then they have this dialogue. He calls it late fragment. "And did you get what you want? What you wanted from this life, even so?" "I did." "And what did you want?" "To call myself beloved, to feel myself beloved on this earth." And this poem is by a poet I know nothing about. One Summer Day on the Number One Train by Anne Whitehouse. When the doors of the express opened at 72nd Street, the local was waiting. She entered with me, tall and angular as a crane, her expression alert, violin poised against her clavicle like a wing. The train was half empty, the passengers dozing or absorbed in their smartphones. She stood at one end of the car, her gaze swiftly appraising us while the doors slid shut. Closing her eyes, she lifted her bow and dipped her chin, and into that pause went all the years of preparation that had brought her to this moment. The train accelerated in a rush of cacophony. Her music welled up, and I recognized a Bach concerto blossoming to fullness like an ever-opening rose. Suddenly, I was crying for no reason and every reason in front of strangers. I thought of the courtroom where an hour ago I'd sat listening to testimony with fellow jurors charged to determine the facts and follow the law. But no matter how we tried, we couldn't reverse damage or undo wrong. The music was contrast and balm, like sunlight in subterranean air. The tears wet on my cheeks, I broke into applause, joined by fellow passengers. We'd become an audience, her audience. Just before the doors opened and we scattered, making my offering, I exited, too shy to catch her eye. But she'd seen the effect her music had wrought. Its echo resounded in my memory, following me into the glory of a summer afternoon. It is with me still. A poem of sight, of insight, and hindsight, remembrance. And I'm going to read almost a poem that you might think will be the opposite of remembrance. It is called Forgetfulness. It's a favorite of one of our members here today. And it's an example of, it's by Billy Collins, who was 40 years a professor in one college. He didn't run around. He wrote poems, taught, wrote books, but he wanted to be called Billy, not the more illustrious William. Billy Collins, he is one of our most currently revered poets who in one poem can make you laugh out loud, or at least smile, and then bring tears to your eyes. The title, Forgetfulness, seemingly the opposite of remembrance. Forgetfulness. The name of the author is the first to go, followed obediently by the title, the plot, the heartbreaking conclusion, the entire novel, which suddenly becomes one you've never read, never even heard of. As if one by one, the memories you used to harbor decided to retire to the southern hemisphere of the brain, to a little fishing village where there are no phones. Long ago, you kissed the names of the 9 muses goodbye and watched the quadratic equation pack its bag. And even now, you memorize the order of the planets. Something else is slipping away. A state flower, perhaps, the address of an uncle, or the capital of Paraguay. whatever it is you're struggling to remember. It's not poised on the tip of your tongue, not even lurking in some obscure corner of your spleen. It has floated away down a dark mythological river whose name begins with an L as far as you can recall, well on your way to oblivion, where you will join those who have even forgotten how to swim and how to ride a bicycle. No wonder you rise in the middle of the night to look up the date of a famous battle in a book on war. No wonder the moon in the window seems to have drifted out of a love poem that you used to know by heart. Um, one short poem. Again, um, the late Robertson Jeffers had a word about when civilizations die and archaeologists go and dig up the bones. That's all they see. But in poems, some of them are stuck in the world's thought forever. We die, but our words sometimes never do, especially from the likes of John Keats here from Endymion. This is just a small segment of a poem that has been stuck in the world's thought ever since it was written by a man who died before he was 30 years old, by the way. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Its loveliness increases. It will never pass into nothingness, but will keep a bower quiet for us and a sleep full of sweet dreams and health and quiet breathing. Therefore, on every morrow, are we wreathing a flowery band to bind us to this earth, in spite of despondence, of the inhuman dearth of noble natures, of sometimes gloomy days, of all the unhealthy and over-darkened ways, make for our searching? Yes, he says, yes, in spite of it all, some shape of beauty moves away the pall from our dark spirits. Such is the sun, the moon, trees old and young, sprouting a shady boon for simple sheep, and such are daffodils with the green world they live in. And that goes on for pages and pages and pages. Let us be a yes. And I think that is all I'm going to read at the moment. I have one last poem, which is a benediction, if I can find it. And it is by the late and beloved African American poet Lucille Clifton. It is called Blessing the Boats at St. Mary's. May the tide that is entering even now, the lip of our understanding, carry you out beyond the face of fear. May you kiss the wind, then turn from it, certain that it will love your back. May you open your eyes to water, water waving forever. And may you in your innocence sail through this to that. And may something hopeful and good and warm and lovely and uplifting and perhaps challenging in these poems today fall into your mind and heart. And if so, write about it. Like you could write a poem about hope, putting HOPE this way, write 4 lines. You know, I always give an assignment. Nobody does. I never do them, but I'm suggesting them to you. all humility. Uh, and so that is the benediction. Benediction means good words, benedictum, good words to leave you with. But I'm also going to ask you to sit for a minute for the postlude for 5 minutes and listen to a piece entitled Peace Shalom by Dan Forrester, sung and played by members of the Lutheran Church in Lincoln, Nebraska. And then join us outside for refreshments. So are
Peace. Peace.
Peace I leave with you.
Thanks to Colin and and Steve, our musical accompaniments today. So may we all exit to the refreshment stand outside as soon as I get there and put things out. Thank you.